Good evening. I hope you've been enjoying tonight's engaging discussion. My name is Melissa Garafola, and I am the genomics educator here at the Connecticut Science Center. As a special treat tonight, we wanted to give you an inside look at our newest permanent exhibition, Genome In Me. This exhibit is especially near and dear to my heart because this has been years in the making, starting all the way back in 2014. And then in June of 2017, when we were able to open our genomics lab on site, we were able to offer consistent genomics programs to our visitors and have some amazing discussions with them. And whether they realized it or not, our visitors had a big hand in this exhibit because their interests and their questions drove its development like never before. In this exhibit, we dive into cutting-edge content, presenting our visitors with the science that they need to combat potential misconceptions about genetic engineering techniques, GMOs, and most importantly for tonight, racial biases in genomics. So let's take a look at some of the exhibits where we purposefully tried to address those misconceptions and combat those racial biases in the field of genomics. Here we have our interactive Discover Your Traits touchscreen. As humans, we have a strong desire to classify things, including ourselves. But as you'll see, our traits are not as simple as they may appear. And there are dozens, if not hundreds, of complex gene interactions that cause them. In this touchscreen, you'll be able to explore some key traits like skin and hair pigmentation or eye color, and take a look at the different forms of the genes or alleles that you can change to change the phenotype or the physical appearance of the person. Let's take a closer look. Let's start with skin and hair pigmentation. Skin and hair pigmentation, just like eye color, is all produced by the pigment melanin. And we can make two different types of melanin. Eumelanin, which is a little bit darker, and pheomelanin, which has lighter skin and hair colors. So let's take a look at how some genes interact to produce these traits. So here we have three main genes and then a combination of a lot of other genes here working together to produce this phenotype or physical appearance. So let's make some changes and see what happens. So if I change the variants for MC1R, we go from darker skin and hair color to lighter skin and hair color. This is controlling the type of melanin you're making. Eumelanin is darker, and our reddish one is pheomelanin. But by changing another gene, I can also make other changes here, going from red hair to another light shade of blonde hair. Every time we change one of these variants, you're seeing that the phenotype changes completely. Then down here, these other genes play a role. And we've found over 100 different genes that contribute to this melanin-producing pathway. This one, TYR, is for tyrosinase, an enzyme that's at the very beginning of the melanin-producing pathway. So if this is off, it's resulting in a form of albinism, no matter what the other combinations are. So as you've seen, this is certainly not a binary trait, is it? Our genomes are not neatly divided into categories, and skin color is not the best representation of the total amount of similarities or differences between individuals or populations. We are discovering more and more just how complex the genetics of skin pigmentation are, and just how much variation we see. There's even more variation among races than there are between them. So we're getting this beautiful, diverse range of all of our skin colors that we see. Another area that can spark misconceptions about race and genomics is ancestry. With millions of people participating in direct-to-consumer genetic tests, naturally, we have questions. So I want to talk about what that data can, and most importantly, cannot tell us. So over here, we are at our Discovering Your Family interactive touchscreen, where you can explore how these ancestry tests work, look at some real data, and meet our friend Barry Green, a Hartford resident whose DNA led him to 10 siblings, spies, and some intercontinental connections. So let's take a closer look at how ancestry tests work. Ancestry tests are not actually looking at our entire genome. They're looking at a small fraction of DNA. and then comparing that DNA to other customers in their databases. They call it reference genomes. But we're not always sure what is in these reference genomes. So let's look at a data set we do know about. So I have here some Legos that are representing 35 million genomes that make up our data set in the genome-wide association studies. So when we're thinking about genes that are related to particular traits or disease, we do these types of studies where we compare millions of different genomes to each other. So it sounds like you got a lot of data, right? But the data set is not particularly diverse. So as of 2016, 81%, all of these yellow Legos, were individuals from European ancestry. We are missing out on a lot of diversity, which makes it hard to make some of these conclusions that we're making in genomics. I just want to leave you with one last thing. As humans, we're a lot more alike than we are different. We share 99.9% of our DNA with one another. It is just 0.1% that makes up all of our beautiful, unique differences. We hope you'll come to the Connecticut Science Center soon so you can experience the Genome in Me for yourselves. And with that, good night.